I, 25 feuds, just graduated from grad school, and my parents are demanding rent or telling me to move out. I'm completely lost and overwhelmed. I've been living with my parents throughout college and grad school, always assuming I'd have some time after graduating to find my footing. But life had other plans. The day after my graduation ceremony, my parents sat me down for what I thought would be a congratulatory chat. Instead, they hit me with an ultimatum: start paying rent or move out. Immediately, I was blindsided. We've never had discussions about rent before, and they've never hinted at wanting me to move out. To give you some background, my relationship with my parents has always been complicated. Growing up, everything was provided for materially, but there was never much emotional connection. My mom's a high school English teacher, and my dad works in marketing. They make decent money, enough for a comfortable lifestyle, but I've always had this feeling that they resented spending money on me. Throughout my childhood and teenage years, I felt more like a burden than a beloved daughter. They rarely showed affection or interest in my life beyond academics. Family dinners were silent affairs, punctuated only by questions about grades or extracurricular activities that would look good on college applications. Hugs were rare, and "I love you" was almost never said. I learned to be self-reliant pretty early on. In high school, I got a part-time jobs at an office supply store, not because I had to, but because I wanted some financial independence. I saved most of what I earned, always with the vague idea that I might need it someday. Looking back, I think I always knew, deep down, that I couldn't count on my parents for long-term support. Fast forward to now. I've just finished my master's in psychology, and I was feeling pretty good about my future. I had some job prospects lined up, nothing concrete yet, but promising leads. I thought I'd have a few months to get settled into a new job before thinking about moving out. Clearly, my parents had other ideas. When they dropped the rent bomb, I was shocked. I asked them why they were suddenly so adamant about me paying rent when they'd never mentioned it before. My mom's response was cold. "You're an adult now. It's time you started contributing." My dad chimed in. "We've supported you through undergrad and grad school. It's time for you to stand on your own 2 feet." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It's not like they paid for my education. I had scholarships and took out loans for what the scholarships didn't cover. They provided a roof over my head. Sure, but isn't that what parents are supposed to do? I tried to reason with them. "I'm just starting to look for jobs in my field. Can't you give me a few months to get settled?" My mom's response was a flat no. She said I could either start paying rent immediately or find somewhere else to live. I was hurt and angry. It felt like they had just been waiting for me to finish school so they could kick me out. In a moment of impulse and hurt, I decided to leave. I packed up as much as I could fit into my car that night. My parents didn't even try to stop me. Now, I'm staying with my best friend from college. She, 26 feuds, has been incredibly supportive, letting me crash on her couch while I figure things out. I'm grateful, but I know I can't stay here long term. It's a small apartment, and she has her own life. I've been applying to jobs non-stop since I left, but the job market for entry-level positions in psychology is tough. I'm casting a wide net, applying for anything remotely related to my field. I've had a few interviews, but nothing has panned out yet. Each rejection email feels like a punch to the gut, confirming my parents' apparent belief that I'm not ready for the real world. I'm also looking at cheaper apartments, but everything seems so expensive, especially when I don't have a steady income yet. The idea of signing a lease without a job is terrifying. What if I can't make rent? I'm considering looking for a roommate situation, but the thought of living with strangers adds another layer of stress to an already overwhelming situation. Financially, I'm okay for now. I have some savings from my part-time jobs, and thankfully, my grandparents set up a college fund that covered most of my tuition. But that money won't last forever, especially if I have to start paying rent somewhere. I'm trying to budget carefully, but the uncertainty of my situation makes it hard to plan. I've started looking into side gigs to supplement my income while I jobs hunt. I've signed up for some tutoring platforms and even considered driving for a rideshare service. It's not ideal, and definitely not what I imagined doing with my master's degree, but I need to do something to keep afloat. I keep replaying the conversation with my parents in my head. Was I being entitled? Should I have seen this coming? I know plenty of people my age pay rent to their parents, but it's usually discussed well in advance, not sprung on them the day after graduation. Part of me wants to reach out to them, to try and understand why they did this. But another part of me is still too hurt and angry. They didn't even text to see if I was okay after I left. It's like they don't care at all. I've been checking my phone constantly, half hoping to see a message from them, but also dreading what it might say if they do reach out. I'm also worried about my younger sister, 20 farads. She's still in college, living at home during breaks. I haven't told her what happened yet. I don't want to put her in the middle of this, but I'm concerned they might do the same to her when she graduates. Our relationship has always been good, but not particularly close. We were both so focused on our studies and trying to meet our parents' high expectations that we never really had time to develop a strong bond. My grandparents don't know about this situation either. They've always been more supportive than my parents, but they live in another state. I'm considering calling them for advice, but I don't want to start family drama. They've always seemed disappointed in how my parents raised us, and I'm afraid this might be the last straw for them. What if telling them ruins their relationship with my parents? Can I handle being the cause of that kind of family rift? I'm torn between feeling like I need to stand on my own 2 feet and feeling betrayed by my parents' sudden demand. Should I swallow my pride and try to negotiate with them? Or is this the push I needed to fully separate myself from their influence? The thought of going back home feels both tempting and terrifying. On one hand, it would solve my immediate housing problem. On the other hand, I'm not sure I could handle living under their roof after this betrayal. I've been researching tenant rights, just in case. Technically, I might be considered a tenant even though I wasn't paying rent, which could mean they can't just kick me out without notice. But do I really want to go down that legal road? It feels like it would destroy any chance of repairing our relationship. My friends are split on the issue. Some think my parents are being unreasonable and that I should stand my ground. Others say I should be grateful for the support I've had so far and that paying rent is a normal part of adulthood. One friend suggested I write a letter to my parents, explaining how I feel and proposing a compromise. But every time I sit down to write, I end up staring at a blank page, overwhelmed by hurt and anger. I'm also worried about the long-term impact of this situation. Will this affect my relationship with my sister? What about future family gatherings? The holidays are going to be so awkward if this isn't resolved. I can already imagine the tension at Thanksgiving dinner, if I'm even invited. There's also the matter of my stuff. Most of my belongings are still at my parents' houses. I only took what I could fit in my car. I'm dreading having to go back to get the rest of it. What if they've already packed it up, or, worse, gotten rid of it? The thought of losing childhood mementos or important documents makes me feel sick. I keep second-guessing myself. Maybe I overreacted by leaving so quickly. But then I remember the cold look in my mom's eyes when she delivered the ultimatum, and I feel justified in my decision. Still, the doubt creeps in. Am I really ready to be on my own? What if I fail spectacularly and prove them right? I'm trying to stay positive and focus on my job search, but it's hard. Every day feels like a struggle. I wake up on my friend's couch, spend hours sending out resumes and cover letters, and go to bed feeling like I've made no progress. The uncertainty of my future is paralyzing at times. I'm also dealing with the emotional fallout. I've always had a strained relationship with my parents, but this feels like a breaking point. I'm grieving the supportive family I never really had, and trying to come to terms with the fact that I might be truly on my own now. There are moments when the loneliness is overwhelming. Part of me wonders if there's something else going on with my parents. Could they be having financial troubles they haven't told me about? But even if that's the case, why wouldn't they just talk to me about it? The lack of communication has always been an issue in our family, but this takes it to a whole new level. I'm considering reaching out to my old therapist from grad school. I might need some professional help to process all of this and figure out my next steps. The stress is starting to affect my sleep and my ability to concentrate. I know I need to take care of my mental health if I'm going to get through this. As for my future plans, everything feels up in the air right now. Before this happened, I had dreams of eventually pursuing a P in psychology. Now, I'm not sure if that's even possible. How can I think about further education when I'm struggling to find an entry-level job and a place to live? I'm trying to stay open to different career paths. Maybe I need to look outside of psychology for now, just to get some stability. But the thought of giving up on my chosen field before I've even really started is disheartening. I'm also grappling with the realization that I might need to move to a different city for job opportunities. The idea of starting over somewhere new is both exciting and terrifying. On one hand, it could be a fresh start, away from the shadow of my parents. On the other hand, the thought of being in a new place without any support system is daunting. Despite everything, I'm trying to see this as an opportunity for growth. Maybe this is my chance to prove to myself, and yes, to my parents, that I can make it on my own. But it's hard to feel optimistic when everything seems so uncertain. So, Reddit, what do I do? Am I overreacting to my parents' demand? Should I try to mend things or use this as an opportunity to build my own life? How do I navigate my relationships with my sister and grandparents through this? Any advice on job hunting, apartment searching, or just coping with this situation would be greatly appreciated. I feel like I'm drowning here, and I could really use some perspective. Update 1. It's been a week since my original post, and I wanted to give you all an update. Thank you for your advice and support. It's been incredibly helpful to hear from people who have been through similar situations. After much soul-searching, I've decided to focus on building my own life, independent of my parents. It's scary, but I feel it's right for my mental health and future. This wasn't an easy decision, and I've had many sleepless nights. I blocked my parents on my phone and social media. It was hard, but I need space to process everything without their constant presence. This isn't permanent, but for now, it's giving me mental clarity. I called my grandparents, which was nerve-wracking. They were shocked and angry when I told them what happened. My grandmother cried, saying she couldn't believe her daughter would treat me this way. They offered to let me move in, but I declined as they live in a different state. I want to try making it on my own. They understood and offered some monthly financial help for rent while I jobs hunt. It's not enough to live on, but it helps. I've had a small job breakthrough. I got a second interview at a local nonprofit counseling at-risk youth. It's not exactly what I had in mind with my master's, but it's in my field and would be valuable experience. The pay isn't great, but with my grandparents' help, it would be enough. The interview is in 2 days, and I'm nervous but excited. I think I've found an apartment too. It's a tiny studio in a not great area, but it's clean and affordable. I'm viewing it tomorrow. Having my own space, even if small, is really appealing right now. Dealing with my sister has been tough. She called, demanding to know what was going on. I told her everything, and now she's torn between loyalty to our parents and her relationship with me. I told her I don't expect her to take sides, but I can tell she's struggling. As for my stuff at my parents' house, I've decided to let it go for now. The thought of going back is too stressful. The important documents are in a safe deposit box I can access. I still have moments of doubt and fear. Sometimes I wake up panicking about the future, but overall, I feel I'm moving in the right direction. I'm scared, but also a little excited about building my own life. Thank you again for your support, Reddit. I'll keep you updated. Wish me luck with the job interview and apartment viewing. Update 2. Hey Reddit. It's been about 2 weeks since my last update. A lot has happened. So here's the latest. The apartment hunt has progressed. I viewed that tiny studio I mentioned, but it was worse than expected. Thin walls, suspicious stains, and a bathroom in poor condition. I almost settled for it out of desperation, but remembering your advice, I passed. Luckily, this led to a better option. A friend of a friend was looking for a roommate in a decent 2-bedroom apartment. It's in a safer area, closer to potential work, and cheaper when split. I met the roommates. We got along well, and I'm moving in next week. I had another talk with my grandparents, which revealed some family history. Apparently, my mom had a similar falling out with them over career choices when she was my age. They wanted her to take over the family business, but she was determined to become a teacher. It led to a rift that took years to heal. This revelation doesn't excuse my parents' actions, but it provides context. My grandparents are determined not to repeat their mistakes with me and have been very supportive. Through my sister, I learned that my dad has been planning to start his own marketing firm. They were counting on my rent money to help fund this venture, which explains the sudden demand. My departure has disrupted their plans, leading to stress and arguments at home. I'm conflicted about this. While I feel a twinge of guilt, I'm also angry they were willing to jeopardize my stability for their business idea. My grandparents, upon hearing this, are reconsidering their investment in my dad's business. On a positive note, I got a second interview for that job I mentioned. The final round is next week. I'm excited about the possibility of working with at-risk youth. I've also started seeing a therapist, which is helping me process everything. My relationship with my sister is strained, but we're working on it. I've decided to let go of most of my belongings still at my parents' house. My new roommates have offered to lend me essentials until I can replace things. Despite the progress, I still have moments of doubt about the future, but these are becoming less frequent. Each step forward builds my confidence a little more. Thank you all again for your support. I'll keep you updated on the move and the job interview result. Wish me luck. Update 3. Hey Reddit. It's been another couple of weeks, and things have taken quite a turn. First, the most intense development. I had a massive argument with my parents. I went back to their house for some documents, and they were home. The tension was immediate. My mom started with a sarcastic comment, and my dad accused me of being ungrateful. I lost my cool, and all my bottled-up feelings came out. I told them how their ultimatum hurt me, and how I'd always felt like a burden. Things exploded when I mentioned their plan to use my rent for Dad's business. They were shocked I knew and accused me of turning my sister against them. My mom cried about family breakdown, while my dad got angrier. I told them they were the ones damaging the family. We argued for ages, dredging up old issues. I left without my documents, shaken and tearful. It was awful, but also cathartic. I'd finally stood up to them. On a positive note, I got the job at the nonprofit working with at-risk youth. I start next week. The pay's low, but enough for basics, and the work seems meaningful. My new boss is understanding about my situation, She even mentioned they have resources for employees in tough times. It's reassuring to join a supportive workplace. This job has shifted my perspective. I now feel I have direction and purpose. It's about building a life I'm proud of, not just surviving. The move to the new apartment went well. My roommates have been great, helping me settle and lending me things. It's still surreal, having my own space, but it's becoming home. Therapy is helping a lot. My therapist noted I'm speaking more assertively and confidently. I'm learning self-kindness, writing down daily achievements. My relationship with my sister is improving. After the argument, she called, upset. We talked, and I assured her she doesn't need to take sides. We're keeping our relationship separate from the parent drama. My grandparents remain supportive. They encouraged taking the high road after hearing about the argument. Grandma said, "Hurt people hurt people. Your parents are acting from pain and fear. It doesn't excuse them, but helps me understand. I still have doubts and fears. New job, new home. It's overwhelming. But remembering how far I've come gives me courage. The road ahead is tough. The rift with my parents won't heal quickly, if ever. But I'm living on my own terms for the first time. It's scary and liberating. Thanks again for your support. It's been crucial during this time. I'll update you on the jobs and family situation. Wish me luck in this new chapter." Update 4. Hey Reddit. It's been a while since my last update, and things have taken an unexpected turn. The biggest bombshell: my grandparents went public with our family drama on social media. My grandpa posted a long status on Facebook detailing how my parents had been taking money from them for years, using me as an excuse to extract more funds. He revealed that my parents' house belongs to their friend, who's letting them stay at a reduced rent as a favor. So when they demanded rent from me, they weren't even homeowners. Grandpa also exposed my dad's past failed business ventures, which they had to bail him out of. He ended by expressing disappointment in how my parents treated me, saying, "We won't stand by and watch history repeat itself." As you can imagine, this spread quickly through our family network. Reactions have been intense and varied. Many relatives reached out, offering support and expressing shock. Some shared their own stories of my parents borrowing money or living beyond their means. My aunt called in tears, apologizing for not seeing what was happening. However, some family members are angry at my grandparents for airing dirty laundry publicly. My parents are furious. Dad is threatening to sue Grandpa for defamation, and Mom has locked herself in her room. They've blocked my grandparents on all platforms. I'm conflicted. While I'm relieved the truth is out, I never wanted this level of public exposure. I'm worried about long-term consequences and how this might impact my sister. My grandparents called to apologize for not warning me, but felt it necessary to set the record straight. I appreciate their support, but wish they had discussed it with me first. The fallout is still unfolding. I've received countless messages from family, friends, and acquaintances. It's overwhelming, so I've stepped back from social media. My therapist has been helping me navigate this new layer of family drama. I'm grateful this happened after I'd moved out and started my new job. My workplace has been a refuge, and focusing on my work with at-risk youth helps put my problems into perspective. My roommates have been incredibly supportive, fielding calls and defending my privacy. As for my parents, they haven't contacted me directly, but I've heard they're blaming me for poisoning my grandparents against them. I'm trying to focus on positives. This has brought me closer to some family members and reinforced my decision to be independent. Moving forward, I'm unsure whether to reach out to my parents or maintain distance. For now, I'm taking it one day at a time, focusing on my job, new home, and mental health. I'm grateful for the support from many of you here on Reddit. I'll keep you updated on any major developments. Thanks for listening, and wish me luck as I navigate this new, very public chapter of my family drama. Update 5. Hey Reddit, it's been a week since my grandparents' social media revelation, and I'm back with what might be my final update. The dust is starting to settle, but my family landscape has changed dramatically. The fallout from my grandparents' post has been intense. Most of my extended family has cut ties with my parents. I've received countless messages of support, but it's bittersweet. While it's validating to have my experiences acknowledged, it's painful to see my family torn apart. My parents haven't reached out directly, but I've heard through my sister that they're struggling. Dad's marketing firm plans have fallen through, and Mom has taken leave from her teaching jobs due to stress. My sister's been caught in the middle of all this. After much discussion, she's moved in with our grandparents temporarily. She's taking online classes to finish her degree. I'm relieved she's out of that toxic environment, but I know it's been hard on her. My grandparents have been incredibly supportive of both me and my sister. They're even helping me navigate some potential legal implications from my parents' actions. As for me, I'm focusing on building my new life. My job at the youth center is going well. It's challenging but rewarding. Helping these kids deal with their own family issues has given me perspective on my situation. My boss has been understanding about my family drama. My new living situation is working out great. My roommates have become true friends, offering support when I need it. We've started a weekly movie night, which has become a bright spot in my week. Therapy continues to be invaluable. My therapist has been helping me process the rapid changes in my family dynamics and develop coping strategies for the stress. One unexpected positive outcome is reconnecting with some cousins I wasn't close to before. They've reached out with support and shared their own stories of family drama. However, the situation with my parents remains unresolved. They're still refusing to acknowledge any wrongdoing and have threatened legal action against my grandparents. My sister says they're talking about telling their side of the story, which honestly terrifies me. Despite all this, I'm starting to feel more hopeful about the future. For the first time, I feel like I'm living authentically, without the weight of my parents' expectations and manipulations. It's scary, but also liberating. I'm learning to redefine family on my own terms. While my traditional family unit has fractured, I'm building a chosen family of friends, supportive relatives, and mentors who respect me. Looking ahead, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm saving up to potentially pursue a PE in psychology. My experiences have sparked an interest in family dynamics and resilience in young adults. I'm also working on personal growth. I've started journaling, meditating, and joined a hiking group. These small steps are helping me rebuild my self-esteem and discover who I am outside of my family's shadow. As for my relationship with my parents, I'm not sure what the future holds. Part of me hopes we can someday have an honest conversation and begin to heal. But I'm also prepared for the possibility that might never happen. I'm learning that it's okay to love them from a distance and prioritize my own well-being. To everyone who's followed my story and offered support, thank you. Your advice and kind words have been a lifeline. I may not update again unless something major happens, but know that your support has made a real difference. For those going through similar family issues, hang in there. It gets better. Focus on building your own life. Surround yourself with supportive people, and don't be afraid to seek help. As I close this chapter, I'm filled with mixed emotions, sadness for what I've lost, anxiety about the unknown, but also hope and excitement for what's to come. Here's to new beginnings and the family we choose for ourselves.